What is up, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new test hand video. And today I'm doing a test hand video for the Earth variant of the Burning Abyss deck. This deck is like, the more I test it, the more I just realize like how this is probably my favorite way to play BA currently, and probably one of the most enjoyable ways I've played BA in a long time. I played this deck when it first came out. Big BA was very, very fun, probably up there with one of my favorite decks of all times. But this deck, as far as the BA variant is concerned, is like one of my all-time favorites. It's so much fun to play. There's so many different avenues of plays and so many different options. I really like this deck as a whole, and especially with this card being out, the Gallant Granite, the just generic rank 4 that lets us detach to add any rock monster from our deck to our hand, or special summon any rock monster from our hand in face down defense position. Like, this card just seems really good. Another thing to note is that this card can be used to search cards like Nibiru, Block Giant, Prime Mineral Congrate, which I have yet to have my copy come in the mail. I've tested that card a bit on stream and found it to be pretty okay. I really haven't set it up too much with Gallant Granite. I've used it to search it and spring it on my opponent, but like, other than just like actually using it to summon it from my hand in face down defense, it's something I have yet to actually try and incorporate, you know, into an actual like strategy. But like, it has a lot of potential, and it raises this deck ceiling quite a bit because you can search out a lot of cards with it. One other thing to note is that I will be trying to get some live duels to you guys. I'm in the process of trying to purchase a new camera. It's pretty expensive, but it's going to help raise the overall video quality and the quality of you know, any video I produce on this channel by, you know, tenfold. So bear with me on that, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started with this. We're going to be doing all going first test hands. I hope you guys enjoy. If you're interested in picking up this playmat or these sleeves that I'm using, they can be found down on Imperium Duelist's website, and you can use that discount code to save 10% off your entire order. And if you're buying anything off of TCG Player, you can use my affiliate link down in the description below to help support me in the process, as I'll receive a small portion of the revenue of your purchase. So if you want to help support me in the channel, there's plenty of options to do so. So yeah, I'm going to shuffle the deck a bit here, and we're going to get into some going first test hands and see what we can pull off. In my recent testing, this deck is very capable of pulling off Avermax Beatrice, sometimes the additional rank 4. Like, it's really good at doing what it does, at making consistent, like, good fields with these two engines working together, surprisingly enough. So let's get right into it and see what our first hand is. We open Fiendish Rhino Warrior, Seer, Block Dragon, Psychic Tracker, and a copy of Mathematician. So this hand is it's really good, I would say. The interesting thing about trying to pull off, though, the Avermax Beatrice combo is it does put heavy reliance on Seer. So opening Seer sometimes is less than optimal, and the fact that we open up both Rhino Warrior and the Seer is also less than optimal, but we have to make work what we can. So this is a hand that, if we do fall victim to a card like Ash Blossom, which is a card we have to take into account, also have to take into account cards like Effect Veiler, Ghost Ogre could also be a card that could hurt us. Same thing with Nibiru. As with any matchup, Nibiru is just one of those cards that it really just kind of stomps on you if you're playing the wrong deck. It is what it is. But yeah, despite those factors, I would start this hand off with the Mathematician. 100%. Even if it does get Ash, we still have an additional extender via Tracker, so that is a 100% viable option. Now, if we didn't open up any other extender alongside Mathematician, I feel like it would be better just to start with Rhino Warrior and then special summon the Seer, because we don't lose any hand traps at that specific like point, because then we link off into Cherubini, and then we activate Rhino Warrior and see if they have any response there, and see if we can make further plays. But with this hand, since we have an additional extender to follow up Mathematician, I would do the Mathematician play and then go from there with the Tracker. Alright, so we'll start with Mathematician, and saying they don't have an interruption, we'll just go ahead and send a copy of Edgem Sabers. Now, I'm sending Edgem Sabers here specifically over Sea Archiver because I want to put this Seer back into our deck so we can make it live off of the, when we link our Dante away, to be able to make a Cerberus. So that's an important reason why we are doing that. So from this point, we don't have to use Tracker, but we can use this if we want to, which I think we will. So we'll go ahead and stack that back to the top of our deck, and then we'll go ahead and make a Link 2 known as Cherubini, the Burning Abyss Angel, whatever you want to call him. Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss. I just almost completely butchered his name there. But yeah, then we'll use Cherubini here to send Rhino Warrior, and then we'll send Graph, and then we will send Seer, summon Seer rather, not send it, which is on the top of our deck. So we've just played around the fact that we have opened that card. So that's nice. One thing this deck does fall victim to is the fact that when you open, per se, like a card like Psychic Tracker, and then you open up, like, you get unfortunate enough to open up your boss monsters like Block Dragon or Hydralander, and then your only other level 3 extenders are BAs, so they actually don't like let you play, because if you summon the tracker, you obviously can't follow up with the Burning Abyss monster. So I wanted to try experimenting dropping Block Dragon and Hydralander down to 2 apiece, even though they're cards that you do want to see in some hands. Like, they just can make your bad hands unplayable, essentially. So we'll go with the Seer, we'll special summon Tracker, and we'll go ahead and overlay into Dante. And with these test hand videos, I do want to try to go a bit more in depth, talk about like the theory of the deck, some other options that I was thinking about playing. In the Shaddoll test hand video, you guys seemed to really like, where if it was a going second deck, we played against a hypothetical board 3 times. So just things like that to take note. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos as well. Leave a like if you are. But we'll use Dante here. We'll detach. We'll mill 3. Sekka's Light, Tour Guide, and Gallus' Star Beast. Okay, not too bad. Milling Sekka's Light it's whatever. We can get an additional draw out of that. But now, at this point, we need to put another monster on board to be able to link off the Dante and go into Cerberus to activate Dante and Seer's effect simultaneously. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4 Earths in our grave, with an additional Earth in hand to summon the Block Dragon. But are there any other options we have? And the answer is we could use a card like Sekka's Light to put back Fiendish Rhino Warrior to try to draw into another card like Gallus or Rock Spirit. Or we could just go for Block Dragon and, you know, just do that right then and there. And I think that is what we will do. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use Sekka's Light here. I'll just put this over here. We'll use Sekka's Light. We'll put back Fiendish Rhino Warrior because that's a card we'd rather have in our deck at this point. Because I feel like it's obviously more useful there. Could also be a normal summon for next turn if we need it to be. But let's just go ahead and see what we can pick up here off the Sekka's Light. Maybe a copy of Sekka's Light. And let's see what it is. Another Block Dragon. Okay. Not too bad, but now we have no other option other than to summon the Block Dragon. We'll banish a copy of the Tracker, a copy of the Mathematician, and a copy of the Gallus. Banish those. I am playing 3 copies of Gallus, so if there's a potential Hydralander in the future, we're just kind of clearing out those multiples from our graveyard. Now we're going to link off the Block Dragon and the Dante for a copy of the Nightmare Cerberus. We'll put him, it doesn't really matter, we'll just put him right here. Then we'll use Block Dragon Chainlink 1, Dante Chainlink 2, Seer Chainlink 3. Dante will target Seer, Seer will target Dante, etc., etc. So we will special summon the Dante. Dante will go right there. This will get added back, and then we will search rock monsters, up to 3 rock monsters from our deck whose total levels equal 8. And I'm going to go for a copy of Gigantes and for a copy of the Rock Spirit. Now, I do have a proxy in here, and that is my second Rock Spirit, which hasn't came in yet. So keep that in mind. If you're wondering what the blank card is, that is a copy of Rock Spirit. So at this point, we will go ahead and discard this BA in our hand to be able to overlay Beatrice on top of Dante. And then here we will link these 2 off into a copy of Avermax, just like that. And then from here, we have the option to be able to special summon both of these to the field by banishing the Cerberus and the Rhino Warrior to go into Gallant Granite, to be able to detach, to be able to add a card like Prime Mineral Congrate if I was playing that. We could also add another Block Dragon, or we could add, you know, any other rock monster, whether it be Fossil Dyna for next turn, to basically like put our opponent on a clock. If they don't have an out for this field, they just pretty much lose next turn. But that is an option. I think I'd probably just hold on to these cards at this point. It really depends on what we're playing against. If we know that Abyss Dweller is going to be like a guaranteed way to victory, we'd probably want to go out for the Abyss Dweller, and if they have the Nibiru, they have the Nibiru. But if we aren't playing against a deck like that loses to Dweller, or maybe it's a deck that we need Tornado Dragon against, we probably want to go for Tornado Dragon, Tomato Dragon, whatever you want to call them. Or we could just leave our field as is, because in this current meta, Avermax is a pretty hard card to deal with, in my opinion. But yeah, I think this is probably where I would leave it. We did have the normal summon, so If we didn't normal summon, I would have grabbed Fossil Dyna and 100% had that as our normal summon, but that wasn't the case for this particular hand because we did have to lead with Mathematician. But yeah, I think that'll do it for that test hand. We'll go ahead and wrap it up and go into another one. All right, so I've shuffled the deck here, and we'll go ahead and get into test hand number 2 and see what we can do this time around. Last turn, we were able to pull off a pretty successful first turn board. Let's see what we can do this time. Starting with a copy of Giant Rex Block Dragon. Again, this is a copy of the Rock Spirit, so we're seeing the negative effects of our engine off the bat. Another copy of Rock Spirit, and our last card is Sekka's Light. Well, it's a good thing that we drew that card, and we really have no other option other than to start with the Sekka's Light. And we'll draw into a copy of Psychic Wielder and a copy of the Calcab. From here, we definitely need to use the Sekka's Light effect again, and I will 100% put back that second copy of Rock Spirit again. This proxy is Rock Spirit, so keep that in mind, because I know somebody's going to ask me, what's the blank card? Usually people that don't watch with sound, but yeah, that's whatever. Anyways, we'll go ahead and shuffle the deck here and see what we can get off of this copy of Sekka's Light, and we'll pick up a Edgem Sabers. That pretty much fixed our hand, like, entirely. Sekka's Light being second to none when it comes to fixing bad hands. From here, we'll go ahead and normal summon the Edgem Sabers. And this is a nice hand because this hand really, I mean, for the most part, I guess you could argue it does kind of fall victim to a hand trap at some point in this specific combo. But at least from a starting standpoint, when we're just normally a level 3 and then just following up with an extender, specifically because we have a level 3, it's a really good solid start to the turn. So then we'll go ahead and link those off into a copy of the Cherubini. And then from here, we'll go ahead and activate Cherubini's effect. We do get to send for cost here. Now, if we were really concerned about hand traps, and we wanted to make sort of a minimal play, what we could do is send our Sea Archiver, summon out Edgem Sabers, summon out Sea Archiver, and then make a Dante, and then make a Beatrice, and then possibly make maybe a rank 4, because we do have Block Dragon and a copy of Giant Rex in our hand, so there might be some room there. Let's see how this board would play out if we were trying to play around losing to an Ash on our Phoenix Rhino Warrior. So let's go ahead and send Sea Archiver. They cannot Ash the Cherubini, specifically because it sends for cost. So let's just play this a bit differently. Then we'll use Edgem Sabers, and we'll go ahead and stack this copy of, let's see, let's stack this, there's so many options here, like, what do I want to stack? Stacking the Giant Rex doesn't make a big difference. Actually, no, let's stack the Giant Rex. We want to stack the Giant Rex 100%. That's the correct call. Then we'll summon out the Archiver, and then we'll go for Dante. Now, I know with this given hand, we have the full Cherubini, or not Cherubini, Avermax Beatrice play, but I'm specifically doing this a different way because let's say we know for a fact our opponent has a lot of hand traps. They might have Ash Blossom, and if we do get Ash on that graph, we end on a significantly worse field. So let's try to play around it a bit differently here. Then we'll use Sea Archive, or detach Sea Archive or mill that Giant Rex that we stacked, a copy of Sekka's Light, and a copy of Mathematician. So looking really good so far. Then at this point, we can go ahead and special summon the Rock Spirit by banishing the Giant Rex. Giant Rex will activate, summoning itself over here, and then we'll go ahead and make a rank 4. Again, we have the option of Tornado Dragon, Gallant Granite, or Abyss Dweller as the 3 rank 4s I'm opting to play currently. And we could go for whichever one we feel would be best in this given matchup. We could go for Gallant Granite to search out a Rock Extender, Abyss Dweller to turn off the graveyard, or obviously Tornado Dragon to keep off any back row we're worried about. But first things first, let's discard the Calcab and go into the Beatrice. One thing to take note is we could technically go into Avermax here still by linking these off into a copy of Cerberus, and then, you know, linking the Cerberus and the Cherubini off into Avermax. So we could do that, actually. That is an option. But what is gonna be most beneficial here? I feel like for this specific hand, we did have to normal summon the Edgem Sabers, so going for Gallant Granite isn't going to be worth it 100% because we can't go for Fossil Dyna. We could go for Tornado or Abyss Dweller. Or again, we could just link these off and still have a pretty solid play. But I think for the sake of this, we'll just go into a copy of Abyss Dweller and call it there. But if we know Avermax might win us the game, linking these two into Cerberus might be the next best option. And then going into Avermax from there, if we know our opponent's going to have a hard time outing it. We still have Block Dragon in our hand for a follow-up for next turn, which we can make live because we'll be detaching this to use the effect of the Dweller, which will put 3 Earths in our grave, 1 which will come back when we banish. And we're drawing for turn a Doki Doki. This card is, I'm not too sure about this card. I've never resolved this effect. I don't even really know what it does. Discard a rock type monster special summon from your deck. 1 rock type monster has the same original attribute and level as that monster in face up attack position or face down defense position. I guess that's pretty good. I guess you could like summon this, discard Block Dragon, and then special summon Congrate in defense. I guess you could do that. Yeah, Earth, Rock. Yeah, I guess that'd be interesting. I just don't even know what Doki Doki does. I know that it's played just because you can search Doki Doki and a copy of the Power Giant. But yeah, that's it for that test hand. Again, we pretty much made just as strong as a board without having to use Seer and Graph with that hand. So that was really interesting. But now we'll go ahead and shuffle up the deck again and do another test hand. Alright, the deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and shuffle just a little bit more and then go ahead and cut the deck. We'll do a triple cut this time around and see what we can draw into. Drawing into a copy of Skarm, a copy of Psychic Tracker, a copy of Doki Doki, a copy of Alec, and our last copy is Rock Spirit. So we did open up Doki Doki. Would you look at that? This is a card that, I don't know if I'll play it going forward. I like Power Giants in here on its own. Like, usually when I resolve Block Dragons affecting Graveyard to search, like I'm never really going for Power Giants. So I don't know. This card is seemingly making our bad hand much worse. We could summon Doki Doki and discard a card and special summon Fossil Dyna, I guess. Summon a level 4 rock type. But I don't think that is entirely worth it. We do have a good play, though, and of its own right, and that's the normal Skarm and special summon Alec. And then we'll link these two off into a copy of Cherubini. And then we'll activate Cherubini's effect here to send the Rhino Warrior. Again, with this specific hand, we have the right extender and Psychic Tracker to be able to play around Ash Blossom if we need to, but with this given field, we'll end on a much worse board, so I think at this point, it's just worth it to go all out, essentially. We'll send the Rhino and send the Graph and subsequently summon the Seer, and then we'll special summon out the Psychic Tracker. Now, with this hand, we have 100% that full combo that we need to pull off in order to have a really solid board. Here we'll overlay into a copy of Dante. Dante is going to detach the Psychic Tracker, importantly leaving the Seer underneath. We'll mill a copy of Calcab, a copy of Giant Rex, and a copy of Orbital Hydrolander. Seeing Giant Rex being milled off the top is always a good feeling. From here, we'll special summon the Rock Spirit, and we'll go ahead and banish a copy of that Giant Rex. That will get summoned to our field. And then we'll go ahead and overlay these two, or link these two off, rather, into a copy of Nightmare Cerberus. And then from this point, we won't summon that there, rather. We'll summon that over there. This will get summoned. This will add this back. And then we'll go ahead and discard that on top for a copy of Beatrice. And then we'll link these two off for a copy of Avermax. And we do have the Giant Rex on our board, which doesn't add too much. Yeah, it doesn't add too much to this field, unfortunately. But if we had, like, a Block Giant or Block Dragon engraved ready to use, we could make some more plays, but we're left with just this Doki Doki in our hand and nothing else. Granted, we don't need to summon the Giant Rex. We could just leave that in our graveyard when we banish it, or just leave it banished, which is not the best idea, so I feel like we just want to summon it anyways. And then that's pretty much it. During their turn, we could detach the Dante, send the Farfa from our deck to grave to try to give some form of interruption. Where's that Farfa? And then Dante can just add back a copy of, let's see, rather add back the Cherubini, but we have another copy left in our deck. And, well, we'd also get end phase Skarm Surge as well because we had the tour guide, or the Skarm. So we'd get tour guide, then we'd send this, and then we'd, like, add back the Graph per se, or maybe the Skarm, whatever we really feel like we need. And then for turn, we're drawing a copy of Sekka's Light, which is pretty good. So yeah, ideal test hand right there. We'll go ahead and do one more and see what we can end on, and see if we can make a different play happen with sort of the same set of cards. But we'll see what happens. All right, the deck has been shuffled. We'll go ahead and cut the deck real fast and see what we can pull off. All going first test hand so far, and we'll continue that trend here. And our first 5 cards are Alec, Psychic Tracker, Orbital Hydrolander, Fiendish Rhino Warrior, and our last card is that pesky Doki, man. This card, I just really want to cut it now after seeing the results that we have here. But luckily, we still have a playable hand. We have 2 options, either to normal the Fiendish. We have a ton of options, more than just 2. But we could just normal this, special this, and then make Cherubini. Or we could normal this and special this and make Cherubini. Now, what would be the better of the 2 options? That's a good question. If we normal the Rhino Warrior and special the Alec, and link them off, and we go into Cherubini, we're gonna send Graph to summon Seer. Now, if they Ash the Graph, that puts us with no other level 3 on board to be able to use Psychic Tracker, which forces us to be able to use the Cherubini to dump Edgem Sabers and no other target. We can't send Sea Archiver because we already burned our normal summon. But if we go Rhino Warrior with Tracker, link those 2 off, same thing happens there. If they Ash the Graph, we still have the Alec in hand, and we can still do the same play. So both plays are just as susceptible to Ash, but neither of the other really gets affected more. I think with this specific hand, I would just probably leave the BA in our hand, because we might need this later to be able to make a Beatrice. So we'll start with the Tracker and go with the Rhino Warrior, and just use this effect here to be able to send the Graph. And we'll see if we can't use that. So Graph will go. Now, if they do Ash the Graph, we have to use Cherubini to send Edgem Sabers to sack the Doki, and then summon the Alec and go from there. So I think that's what we would have to do. But let's say the Ash does go through, or the Ash doesn't. They don't have Ash. We'll use the Graph to summon out the Seer, and then we'll special summon the Alec. We don't have to special summon the Alec. Keep that in mind. We'll use Cherubini here actually to send the Edgem Sabers to the graveyard, so we can have that as a reoccurring, level 3 monster every turn. One of the reasons why I love Edgem Sabers and Sea Archiver. So yeah, and then we'll use the Edgem Sabers. We'll stack that Doki back to the top of our deck because we don't want that card in our existence right now. And then we'll go ahead and overlay for the man himself, Dan the Traveler. And then we'll detach the Edgem Sabers, milling the Doki, the Skarm, and a copy of Rock Spirit. So we do have Skarm and Phase going for us. We do have the perfect opportunity right now to be able to summon the Orbital Hydrolander, so we'll have to do that now. With this specific hand, we have to special summon the Alec as that additional extender we need to be able to link off into Cerberus, so we'll go ahead and do that right now. Cerberus, and then we'll use Dante 1, Seer 2. Seer will special Dante. Dante will add back Seer. We'll ditch this to go ahead and special summon Beatrice over top, linking these 2 off into a copy of the Avromox, just like that. And we have Orbital Hydrolander in play. And we do have an end-phase Skarm search for none other than, of course, Tour Guide from the Underworld. And then let's go ahead and see if our Hydrolander would hit, if it would be able to resolve. And with our current graveyard, we only have we have 2 chances for duplicates. So if we mill a Tracker or a Rhino Warrior, we're out of luck, but there's only 1 of each of those left in the deck. We could also potentially mill a Rock Spirit, so there's actually 3 chances in our graveyard right now, and they're all Earth monsters. That's where having an additional Block Drag in our hand would be really nice. Well, let's see if our Hydrolander would miss. We mill the Gigantes, we mill a Mathematician, and we mill a Calcab. So our Hydrolander would go through with the specific board, and we'd have a Calcab effect to be able to use, and we load our graveyard with even more Earth monsters for us to potentially draw. Let's say we use this afterwards. We'll send Farfa, or we could send Block Dragon if we need to. Maybe we just send Block Dragon because they had no other threats, because maybe the threat they did have we were able to clear with the Hydrolander, so we can send Block Dragon. And then Dante will go ahead and add back, let's see, where it's Scarm. Doesn't hurt to have that card back in our hand. And then we'll cut the deck, and we'll draw for turn a Psychic Tracker. So yeah, really good hand. And we have Block Dragon like to come in super clutch next turn and just put on tons of pressure. So yeah, as you can see, this deck is extremely consistent. Does have ways to play through hand traps, though there are some hands that are extremely susceptible to hand traps more so than others. So I wouldn't say that those exceptions make the deck, you know, really vulnerable to hand traps, and there's clearly ways to play through them. Like for an example, like if we open up like Gallus, and like here's an example, like if we open up these cards, and we open up like multiple BAs, I guess, yeah, if we open up like, this might seem like common sense, but like if we open up like these cards here, we have in like on top of like a normal hand, so like we have 2 other cards in our hand as well. This deck can be susceptible to hand traps, but when only played in a certain fashion. So if we start with Mathematician with like no other good level 3 extenders in our hand, which can happen sometimes, you're just stuck with like a lot of BAs, and this gets ashed, you're passing your turn. That's only because you made the incorrect play of normaling that. The proper play would have been to special summon both of these, make Cherubini, try to bait the Ash Blossom there, and then hit him with the Mathematician and go from there. So like, there are some hands where you are left with Mathematician, not enough extenders to be able to make a play with just BAs, and like not enough good extenders, and if this does get Ash, you're out of luck. But like, you know, the exception is not the rule. So yeah, one tree doesn't make a forest, I guess, if that's the analogy. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. This deck, I think, is super resilient and has a ton of potential to be very, very competitive if played right. And it's one of my favorite decks of the format right now. And I'm glad I can share this video with you guys. So, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to check out Imperium Duelist and my affiliate link to TCG Player down in the description below. Huge shout out to all my active Discord members and loyal Twitch subscribers. I appreciate y'all very much. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Winter Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.